everyone, it's Elizabeth from Elpis Astrology at elpisastrology.com. Thanks for joining me today. So this is my take on the astrology for March 2025. Interesting month, right? So this is starting our eclipse season. So all of March has two eclipses, one in Virgo and one in Aries. But wait, there's more. We have both Mercury and Venus going retrograde, and we have the spring equinox, and finally, we have Neptune ingressing or going into Aries at the end of the month. So let's get into it. So we'll start off on the 2nd of March, where we will have Venus going retrograde, and it will go retrograde at 10 Aries, 50 minutes. And this is significant because we're talking about what? When we're talking about Venus, we're talking about women, anything pertaining to women, but we're also talking about money and values. So right when we kick off the beginning of March, these things are going to be coming up to be reviewed, right, during the retrograde. Both Mercury and Venus, kind of in tandem, are going retrograde at similar degrees. And likewise, they're going direct at similar degrees in Pisces in April. I'll cover that more in April, but just to give you a heads up on that. All right. So we have, for the USA anyway, the 9th of March, our clocks go forward as well, just to confuse us a little bit more, right? So the first eclipse that's going to happen will be in Virgo. It will be at 23 Virgo, 56 minutes, which rounded up to about 24 degrees Virgo. So that's the moon. But because it's a full moon, that means the sun is in the opposite sign at the same degrees, but in Pisces instead. So look to see if you've got anything, say, around 24 degrees, firstly of Virgo, and then opposite sign, which is Pisces. In terms of what kind of transits go with this, we have that moon, the full moon, conjunct the south node. And this is in Virgo. And if we think about, well, what's Virgo all about? Virgo can be about our health. It can be about important facts or important information. Mercury rules Virgo, so we look to where is Mercury. And so when I looked at the moon conjuncting the south node, I thought that potentially there's going to be important facts come from the past. South node is the past, as well as the moon, by the way. That's something to do with a health crisis. Now, we've already got something ongoing. I'm making this video kind of mid-February 2025. So there is something going on right now. But this is going to bring it to a big head, right? But it can also have to do with just straight off important past information and facts come to light, right? And if we look at other things that are happening, we've got that moon opposite Saturn. And so this is saying follow the rules and regulations as I say them. So those in command of, say, old institutions, or they have the rules and regulations that they can exert on you, they're going to be doing it at this full moon. Now, nicely, we have a setup of Uranus trining the moon, and then, of course, sextiling the sun. But honestly, even though this is a trine, and it's certainly favorable energy, because Uranus's energy is sudden, unexpected things happening, I really got this because that moon, which is trine Uranus, is also conjunct the south node. I just got this sudden removals of some sort coming about. That's what I get at this whole thing. Now, I did do an actual video on all 4 eclipses in 2025. So the eclipses happen in March and September. And they're really important eclipses, all of them actually. But this one in particular is a big one because in Virgo, because it's got a companion eclipse, a new moon eclipse that happens in September, the latter part of September 2025. So look to what happens here let's just say the first half of in March 2025, especially regarding what Virgo is ruled by, and that's Mercury. So that means communications, messages, important information, important facts. Pay attention to what comes up at this eclipse, because it's going to reveal a new beginning the latter part of September 2025, right? When we have our second eclipse in Virgo, but that one in September will be a new moon. On the 15th of March, Mercury now goes retrograde, and it goes retrograde at 9 Aries, 35 minutes. So, as of the 15th of March, I'm just remembering Julius Caesar and things like that, and, beware the Ides of March type thing. We both have Venus and now Mercury going retrograde mid-month. So we know that retrogrades can slow things down. It can ask us to reflect. It can scramble communications sometimes. So I would say all the above is going to apply to things, not only Mercury related, which are communications, certainly any kind of contract, that sort of thing, you got to look at very carefully. It's always recommended that if you can, don't sign a contract during a Mercury retrograde. Sometimes you just can't, right? You got to still live your life. But I would say if you were organizing and negotiating this contract, say, way prior to the Mercury retrograde, but now you're going to sign it on the Mercury retrograde, I would say that that's probably okay. I personally would still try to avoid it if I can. But because everything happened prior to Mercury going retrograde, if that's the case with you, it's probably going to be okay. The next thing we have happening on the 20th of March at 2:02 a.m. Pacific Daylight Time is going to be the spring equinox. And basically that is the sun going to 0 degrees of Aries, 0 minutes. And this is also the celebration of the astrological new year as well. What we have is the moon at 6 degrees of Sagittarius, 21 minutes. I love that moon. It's optimistic, it's positive, and it's happy. So there may be a lot of optimism around the spring equinox. A lot of emotional happiness for some people, especially if you've got, say, something in Sagittarius that's around, let's say, 5, 6, or 7 degrees of Sagittarius. There could be some nice things coming for you for the next 3 months from the 20th of March. So we also have the Neptune and North Node conjunct in Pisces. And because we've got the sun at 0 degrees of Aries, it also is conjunct. So I see this as potentially very inspirational, that we may feel inspired with regards to our collective destiny. The destiny part is the North Nodes. The Neptune is our inspiration. And certainly if you've got anything in the arts, music, dance, even film, that type of thing, this could be a very positive time period, starting at the spring equinox for, say, about 3 months or so. But the other thing that Neptune does, of course, is it dissolves things, and it also can cast a cloud or a confusing type energy around. So that although there may be some happy, optimistic times emotionally, there may be also this sort of reticence about, yeah, but I'm really not sure where our collective destiny is going. It's not clear to me. At the spring equinox, we also have Mars widely trine Saturn. This is a good thing. Trines are always positive. And so this is basically taking positive, forward-moving energy, Mars, together with Saturn, which is our rules, our regulations, those experts. So there may be some expert movement forward as a result of something that those that are experts say, now's the time to go ahead. Now's the time to move forward. So it's coming from more the old institutions as opposed to new ones, but it's certainly people who know the rules and regulations are saying, go, this is the time to do it. So the second eclipse of March is going to be the final eclipse in Aries, because as you recall, the past 18 months or so, we've had eclipses in both Aries and Libra. This one is in Aries. It's a new moon, which bodes well, and is at 9 degrees of Aries, 00 minutes on the 29th of March at 3:58 a.m. Pacific Daylight Time. Now, the ruler of this eclipse is Mars. So we look to say, well, where is Mars? Mars is square Chiron. And so at this eclipse, I really do believe there's going to be some health issues that escalate, right? The Mars part is escalating. The square is difficulties and Chiron is health. So we're going to have to take a look at what happens at this time. But that is what I see happening here. We also, though, nicely have a sextile between Saturn and Uranus. So this could see new, unique ideas to old problems. Well, hopefully those new, unique ideas to old problems is to do, or has to do, with the health issues that are going to pop up here. Mars, again, sextiling Uranus, basically supports, it's a supportive thing here, where it actually says, you know, what have we got going on here that's we need to break free from? So the breaking free is Uranus, and the Mars is energy to make it us break free. Opportunities to break free. Opportunities for independence. Right? And then Mars also squares Black Moon Lilith. And Black Moon Lilith can mean different things. A lot of times it'll say it's like the more difficult side of the feminine. But it can also just represent an energy of, I don't care what you think, I'm going to do what I want to do. And, you know, this whole thing of willfully doing something, right? Now, supporting that whole thing that I just spoke about with Mars and Black Moon Lilith is a yod. So we have a yod at this final eclipse in Aries. At its base, we have Saturn at 24 of Pisces, Uranus at 24 of Taurus, pointing to Black Moon Lilith, up there at about 23 of Libra. And so this is really, again, emphasizing this surprising, Uranus, willful, Black Moon Lilith, actions from the old guard. That's it. So this yod is standing out in relief or in neon, a neon sign, saying, you're going to have to get over this. You're going to have to work this through. And you're going to have these energies, though, that are saying, nah, I want to do it my way. And poof, surprising things coming up. But these are generated from the old guard because Saturn is involved here, right? So there may be some big upset, too, regarding old existing institutions as well as old and existing rules and regulations. So on the 30th of March, one more thing here, right? We have Neptune, ingress to Aries. Now, if we look at the last time we had Neptune in Aries, there were a few things going on. It's around 1861. We had the U.S.-American Civil War start. We interestingly also had the unification of Germany and Italy. And then we also have to ask, well, what does Neptune in Aries mean? And there's a few things. It's purposeful action, but also reaching for our individual dreams. And I really like that. In terms of what may evolve over Neptune in Aries, we may see AI increasing dramatically here and really evolving into something quite sophisticated. But also, when we look at Neptune, this can be religious stuff, right? And Aries is all about war. So I'm also thinking there may be some elements of a holy war going on as well with this Neptune going into Aries at the end of March. Let's hope that instead that Neptune can represent spirituality and that we can all take on the mantle of being more spiritual individuals and taking responsibility for emanating that, right? So let's just do a little peek of April. April is going to be a little less dramatic than March, but we do have both Mercury and Venus going direct at 26 and 24 degrees of Pisces respectively, which I think that's good. So expect maybe some resolution in different things, maybe money matters or anything to do with women. And then the moons we have in April are a full moon at 23 Libra and a new moon at the end of April at 7 degrees of Taurus. All right, let's move on next to the sun signs and our ascendants. You pick. I suggest you listen or watch for both. All right, Aries. Well, Aries, you have your new moon eclipse this month, right? So this puts a little big focus on you. But let's start off with that full moon in Virgo. So the full moon in Virgo falls in your 6th house. And it really speaks to a few things. The 6th house tends to be what you do day to day. And if you don't work, it is, what do I do day to day as part of my ongoing daily activities? If you do work, this is the day-to-day work that you do, right? But the 6th house is also all forms of health. So being a full moon, typically we talk about, these things coming with a big spotlight on it. There could also be some endings here as well of note. Now, the thing is that as a sign, Virgo rules the 6th house. So there's a double emphasis here for you, Aries. So both or either of these areas could be affected. And the other thing is there's small animals as well is ruled by the 6th house. And so there may be some ending or beginning with an animal too. I mean, just because it's a full moon doesn't mean you can't have a new beginning, because eclipses really are wild cards. So a full moon, you could have something new start, but you could have both something stop and something start. So there could be for some Aries that you will have a new animal come into your life. That may be very delightful. It may even help your health, right? Being in Virgo. Then when we look at that eclipse that's yours, right? That new moon in Aries, that's your 1st house. So this, I would say, is very significant for you, Aries. This is a whole new start for you. So Happy New Year to all my Aries clients as well as viewers. Now, we know that we have Mercury and Venus going retrograde in this month of March. They do go direct next month in 24 to 26 degrees of Pisces, right? That's actually your 12th house. We'll talk about that more in April. But it is notable that both these planets go retrograde in your sign in March. So I would say that if you're in the midst of either signing contracts, dealing with some money thing as well, look to March as that month that you're going to be negotiating these things or going over the details regarding them, right? Now, the Aries part of it says, I want to move forward here, right? Because Mars rules Aries, your sign. And so there's going to be this initiative type feeling of, I want to move forward with, let's just say it's a money deal of some sort, but you're not going to be able to. There's going to be a delay of some sort, or there's going to be a need to look at the details again. But if you are negotiating for, say, more money, this month of March would be excellent for you, Aries, to do that. Probably going to be very favorable for you. And because these two planets go direct in Pisces in your 12th house, the final deals are going to be done behind the scenes, not out in the open. Yeah. Now, when we look at that Neptune going into your sign, Aries, at the end of the month, this is phenomenal. I mean, at its best, Aries, that Neptune is going to be bringing in some real inspiration for you, like to get you moving, right? Now, it can bring in confusion and unclearness, cloudiness, but it can also dissolve things too. So I'm thinking that in Aries, you want to move forward, but maybe you've not been able to move forward. And maybe this Neptune going into your sign, Aries, is going to give you inspiration to pursue whatever it is that you want to do on an individual basis. Now that's going to stay in there for a few years, Neptune in Aries, supporting you, right? That's the most supportive part of Neptune in Aries. It's also the spiritual warrior, right? So there could be an aspect of that you take on a mantle that is similar to that type of energy. Now, the other thing that's going to happen the last week of May is Saturn will also move into your sign, Aries. So this is bringing stability. Now, coupled with Neptune, because it's going to be close to Neptune on and off right the way through next year, and it conjuncts next year with that Saturn, with Neptune in February, exactly. But it is very close. This can be bringing literal stability and structure to your dreams and wishes, right? So, there could be some Aries that manifest some of their hopes, dreams, and wishes here, especially as it applies to you expressing your individual self, maybe pioneering something new, or just breaking free and moving forward with your life as you want it. All right, take care, Aries. So, Taurus, this is a lovely setup for you. This full moon that is in Virgo, because it is a fellow earth sign like you. And it trines you and your 5th house, which is awesome. Now, it does have a companion eclipse in September, and that's a new moon. So I would say that there may be something either illuminated in a big way. There could be a culmination or an ending to what? Anything 5th house. This could be the beginnings of a love affair here, right? That's the 5th house. There may be some Taurians that give birth or get pregnant at this time. Doesn't matter that it's a full moon. But that September will bring something as well. There's a connection between March and September and your 5th house. And 5th house is children. So there may be, if you've got children already, some significant positive things that happen in March that manifest in new beginnings for some of your children here. But creative projects are really at the foremost here in the 5th house. So let's just say some Taurians will be ending a creative project in March, right? And then in September, you may go on to actually start a new one as a result of whatever you did in March. But there's a connection between March and September here. Now, we've got that new moon in Aries. That is in your 12th house, Taurus. So this could be a couple things. It could be you deciding that you have to deal with all the things that you've been shoving under the carpet, things that have been tripping you up. That you take a stance and say, you know what, I need to make an initiative here to clean this up. Kind of like a Marie Kondo type thing, where you want to get things cleared up so that you can move forward with different things in your life, right? It is, after all, in Aries, which is ruled by Mars, which is all about action and movement forward, right? That's why I'm saying that. It could also have you having a new project of some sort that all of a sudden has to take place behind the scenes. Even though you want to bring it out into the open, you cannot. So it's a new project of some sort that you have to work behind the scenes and get it all figured out behind the scenes. That could happen. But the other thing too is the 12th house is the house of rest. So this could also have you deciding that you've been working too hard, and that part of you taking care of you is to rest and stop working so hard, right? That could be up for you here too. But it's new starts. New beginnings. It's just that you can't come out in the open with it. It's also like hidden places like ashrams and hospitals. So there might be some reason, like maybe you're taking up a job of some sort that now involves working in a hospital or that type of setting, compassionate type stuff, right? The 12th house. It's also, like I said, ashrams. Maybe some folks are going to go to an ashram. That would be a positive way to use this, that's for sure. Well, you still have Uranus in your sign, at least for the rest of the year, on and off, but it will still retrograde and go back into you. So, you know, you're going to be clear, Taurus, of Uranus in your sign, certainly by around the end of the year or so. And then it'll be going into Gemini and revolutionizing their lives and not yours. So the dust should be settling for most Taurians, because Taurus is kind of moving on now out of your sign and no longer shaking up your life. Take care, Taurus. So Gemini, that full moon that's in Virgo, it squares your sign. It squares your 4th house. So this says to me there's some culmination of some sort, probably with regards to your family, maybe your mother, maybe both, or maybe just an individual family member. It's just a challenge where you have to step in. And the thing with the Virgo part of it, it could be 2 things. It could be asking you to get the facts and the information, relevant and important facts and information, not just any willy-nilly facts that are important for some kind of challenge with either your mother or your family. Now, the other thing that could be is that someone in your family or your mother has some kind of health issue of some sort, because health issues can be associated with Virgo as well. And the square requires you to get involved. I mean, it could be something as simple as, you know, your mother or a family member is moving into your home and you have to make space for them, and it's a little more challenging than you thought, or vice versa. You could be wanting to buy a home, sell a home, and there's challenges. If that is the case, and you are listening to this early on, say in February, when I'm making this, make sure you get a really good real estate. Vet your real estate agents and carefully look, certainly, at any kind of contract that you have to sign or any requirements is required of you, say, by the people selling the home. And the same applies to you selling a home as well, right? Make sure you have the right people in there, and that your home is in the shape it needs to be in to be sold. Get everything checked out. Have someone beforehand go through all your house and all the structure and make sure it's good. Doing that's going to shore you up and make that square easier for you, as opposed to difficult. Now, when we look at that new moon in Aries, well, that forms a sextile with you, Gemini, and it affects your 11th house. So straight up, this just says you making new friends. Lots of opportunities here for you to make new friends. Probably new friends that are very independent, so they're very much like Aries-like people. Independent, they like their individuality. They maybe even, you know, carve out new roads in life for people, that type of thing. The 11th house also is hopes, dreams, and wishes. So at that new moon in Aries, you may also have an opportunity or opportunities to have one of your hopes, dreams, or wishes come true. Especially if you've been wanting to be independent. So we're talking about the Aries characteristics of this eclipse. Independence, or you wanted to go on your own road. You wanted to, you know, pioneer something. That's going to be very supported by that new moon in Aries in your 11th house. For sure. Now, you've got Uranus going into your sign, Gemini, in July 2025. And it will be staying in there for quite a few years. Now, the reason or the rationale behind Uranus being in your sign is really to shake you up and to remove things that are not helping you, you know? And these are probably things that if you thought about it, you know about already. Uranus is a very revolutionary energy. It moves quickly, it acts quickly, and there's no time to sort of think things through. So I would say, Gemini, when you're listening to this, maybe just spend some time thinking about, what do I need to revolutionize in my life? What do I need to eject out of my life? What do I need to be set free from in my life? And is there anything I can do now prior to July 2025 when Uranus goes into my sign that may aid this being a more palatable exercise having Uranus in Gemini. Certainly, this can be very freeing, this energy. So it's not to be feared. It's to be respected for sure. Now, this could also have something to do with education of some sort, because that's very Gemini. Communications of any sort, maybe revolutionizing how you speak, how you present yourself, how you write. And in fact, some of the big positive thing here is if you do want to write, this Uranus could bring in for you unexpected opportunities to do that, right? Because Gemini is all about writing too. All right. Take care, Gemini. So Cancer, that full moon that is in Virgo sextiles your sign and involves your third house. So I'm thinking some Cancers are going to get an opportunity to do some writing. The other thing that you may have happen is an opportunity to do some short distance travel in your job. You may have more interactions with your siblings and your neighbors. Now, I know it's a full moon and we tend to say it's, a culmination of some sort, but these are wild cards. They really are. But typically we would just say something at least is illuminated at this full moon eclipse, right? Now, the illumination might be something to do with your health. That's the eclipse is in Virgo. It could have something to do with even with your day-to-day job, some service type of activity that you may be doing. But your health may be aspected here. You may get some communications about your health that help you just correct things, right? Now, that's the easiest way this could play out. Like I said, the other thing is that's a full moon in Virgo in your third house could have communications coming in with regards to your job. And it's a sextile, so there may be opportunities for you to, do something different in your job. That something different maybe is going to be writing. Maybe it's going to be you presenting to people. Maybe it's going to be you doing short distance travel of some sort. That all could be up. But there's a companion eclipse, a new moon eclipse that happens in September. That will bring you some new beginning as a result of whatever it is that's illuminated at this time or culminates at this time. Now, when we look at that new moon in Aries, well, that forms a square with you, Cancer, and it affects your 10th house. So the 10th house, generally speaking, is our career, our reputation, our social standing, that type of thing. And so it seems to me that with the Aries part of it, which is, I want to move forward, I want a new initiative. If that is happening for you in a career where you are really pursuing this new initiative, especially where you can be the leader, there may be a few hoops that you have to jump through. It doesn't mean it's not going to happen, especially since it's an eclipse. But this could come up as, for instance, you've got to pass an exam, and maybe it's a physical exam that you have to pass or a mental exam that you have to pass. And that's what the square is. Well, just get prepared for it and do it, right? The other thing is that there are leadership qualities that are required in this situation in your career. We'll find out how you can acquire more leadership. What kind of behavior do you have to exhibit to show that you are a leader? Do you have to take a small course of some sort and put that on your resume? And that would help. So these are things that you can do to support yourself in a square. Squares always ask you to think outside the box, Cancer. It doesn't mean it's not going to happen. Oh, at this time, you're coming up to Jupiter being in Cancer. Now, that's not going to be till June. But hey, all Cancers, you're going to have Jupiter in your sign from June 2025 to June 2026, bringing in good luck, optimistic feelings, people that may actually be of great benefit to you. All that's up for you, right? Having Jupiter in your sign, you just cannot go wrong. Certainly at its base, Jupiter says, I want you to grow in this area. Well, the area is the first house. So that means your growth of you in a very good way. But it can also mean for some Cancers, maybe putting on a little bit of weight as well. All right. Take care of yourself, Cancer. So Leo, that full moon in Virgo is in your second house. So second house, generally we talk about the income that you earn, but it's also your values, your possessions, how people value you, what you think of yourself, that type of thing. So all these things can be up as a big illumination of some sort. For some Leos, you may actually end a source of income by ending a job. Now, the other thing is, on a positive side of this, is that you end one source of income, but you're taking up another source of income at the same time. After all, this is an eclipse. But there's going to be some big spotlight put on the money that you earn and who you are in terms of value. So there may be some Leos that at this full moon decide, hey, I'm going to negotiate for more money in my job because I'm just not being valued enough. You know, in our present way, the way we value people in careers and jobs is how much money they make, generally speaking. I'm not saying praise won't go a long way, but certainly we all have to live. So there may be a lot of discussions up about that. You may bring up important facts. In fact, this would be a good thing for you to do, Leo. Bring up all the salient and important facts that support you getting a raise, right? Don't forget, that's important to say, why should you get the raise? Maybe have a whole timeline of all these extra things that you did over the past, 6 months or so that say you're doing way over what the job description is and you'd like to be rewarded for it. Nothing wrong with asking, right? But I think overall, this shines a light on your value. That's what I think is good, where you're going to realize at this eclipse how valuable you really are. Now, when we look at that new moon in Aries, well, that's a fellow fire sign. So that means you get this positive trine happening, and it affects your 9th house, Leo. And so there's going to be a few things here. There's going to be a new beginning with regards to a legal matter that's going to positively work out your way, Leo. For others, you may have a new start by, maybe starting a Ph.D. program or a master's program. For others, you may decide to do this fabulous trip, right? Because travel is very much part of the 9th house. Travel, especially with long distance to foreign lands type travel. And I mean, it could even mean relocating, Some Leos are taking the initiative to relocate to a foreign land, or vice versa, come back from a foreign land and start new again in your actual homeland, right? Publishing is also the 9th house, so there's going to be some Leos that'll be publishing. And it doesn't mean that you have to publish this big tome of a book. It could mean that you've been working on a proposal of some sort or some SOP of some sort, and now it's ready to go and be published, right? So that all could be up for some Leos as well. Now, next year, unbelievably, 2026, Leo, you're going to have eclipses starting in your sign, as well as Aquarius. In fact, you've got a really cool eclipse at 20 degrees of Leo in August of 2026, something to really look forward to in terms of big turnarounds for you, right? Anyway, you've got a pretty good outlook here in terms of the eclipses. Yeah, I would say this is very positive for you. There's no negative things really surrounding this for you, Leo. Take care. Okay, so Virgo. Well, that full moon eclipse, and it's a total eclipse, by the way, is in your sign, Virgo, right? So this is some big spotlight, I think it's going to be for a lot of Virgos, endings. And it could be to do with anything in your life that really needs to end. But I'm going to tell you this, Virgo, when whatever ends in your life as a result of important information and facts coming up, you're going to have a new moon, new start, a fabulous one in September, probably the latter part of September, when you have a companion eclipse that happens as a new moon in Virgo. Yeah, something to look forward to there. Now, you have that new moon in Aries. It is in your 8th house. So this features anything to do with shared resources, money that you pay to other people, money that's you put away and is supported, like a 401k. money you put into investments, your mortgage, your credit cards. What else? It's also your psychological self and as well as your sex life. So this is a new start here. It mainly is viewed as a money house. So what I would do if I had something like this is take a really fresh look at all your investments that you have and make sure that they're running smoothly and that they will stand the test of time. Maybe even seek out some kind of independent advisor that might be able to give you some information about this. But this is a whole new start where you're going on your own path with regard to any shared resources. Maybe you're going to end some kind of outgoing financially that has been a burden for you. Because don't forget, this is a final tie-up of eclipses, right? In Aries and Libra. This one being in Aries is the final one. So that could also be up for you. A great way to use this energy too would be, I'm making this mid-February. See if you can get rid of that credit card, pay it off, right? So to me, that's like not simple, but using that energy, the new moon part of it, taking initiative in the 8th house. Get rid of the credit cards, right? At least make efforts towards doing that and set up a plan is what I would suggest. But that's a great way of potentially using it. But hey, you've got lots happening both in March as well as September, because you also have eclipse in your opposite sign, 7th house in September. I did do a whole eclipse video for all 4 eclipses. And it's really quite fascinating, all the other things that dovetail into this whole, both eclipse periods. And so I would encourage you to watch that, Virgo. Link is below here if you care to do that. Take care of yourself, Virgo. So Libra, that full moon in Virgo falls in your 12th house. So the 12th house is a hidden house. It's a house of rest. It's the place where we do Marie Kondo. It's where we look at what are we even putting under the carpet that we really need to look at and clean up. It's also the house of spirituality and metaphysical things too. But I'm thinking it may be for some Librans, they just get fed up with working so hard and say, I need to put a priority on my health here. So Virgo can be very much about health as well as your day-to-day job. I'm putting too much effort into my day-to-day job and I need to take care of my health. So I'm going to take a rest. Maybe that rest is going to equate into a holiday. Maybe that holiday is going to be in an ashram. If it is, it's fully supported at this full moon eclipse for sure. But you may have something come up with regards to your health at this time. The 12th house also can be hidden places like hospitals, ashrams, government offices, that type of thing. So those institutions could also be up at this time for some reason. But Virgo is very much associated with health. So I'm thinking there may be some reason that you do have to take care of your health in some way. Some illumination with regards to health is probably up. Some illumination with regards to your day-to-day job may be up too. You just need to pay attention and then sort of digest it and say, what does this mean? What do I have to adjust here? That's that full moon in Virgo, Libra. Now, the new moon in Aries, that's your opposite sign, right? That's the 7th house. So now this shifts things away from you and puts it on the other. Now it's all others, especially others that we sign contracts with. Typically, we talk about our marriage partners, as well as our business partners, but also our clients. Our 7th house matters. So it's putting a big emphasis on that. And so there may be something that comes up with regards to your partner. Hey, you could also get married at this time, right? It's a new moon in your 7th house of marriage. So there may be some Librans that are getting married here. Now, what's interesting is you're going to have 2 outer planets go into Aries too this year, right? So at the end of March, this month that I'm talking about, you're going to have Neptune go in there. So that action can potentially bring in a soulmate of some sort for you. And that soulmate may come in around that new moon. The only caution I would say is Neptune can sometimes bring confusion and even at its worst, deception. So pay attention to if you do fall in love, just maybe do a little bit of a fact check and make sure what they say they are, they are. But apart from that, that's a nice energy to have come into your 7th house from a romantic standpoint. Why? Because Venus is exalted in Pisces, and this is Neptune that rules Pisces. So Neptune is the higher octave of Venus, and it sets up a very nice energy potentially at its highest in that 7th house to bring in a beautiful and probably beautiful and dreamy soulmate of some sort. Now you have Saturn going into Aries. I mean, this really, in my mind, bodes well for a serious relationship. First off, right? Saturn in the 7th house says serious relationship. It also says this person could be older than you or you're older than them. Now, from a business standpoint, if it's business relationship we're talking about here, or partnerships, Saturn can bring in a sort of aura of seriousness, as well as, structure, good structure around a business partnership. And this business partnership may be with older people or person that's older. But both Saturn and Neptune will be staying in your sign for a number of years. Saturn about 3, and Neptune well over 7. So this influence is going to be for quite a few years. I'm talking about the Neptune-Saturn that I've just spoken about. So see what comes up here at this new moon in Aries. That's towards the end of March, because somehow that's going to play out over many years as well. Take care, Libra. So Scorpio, that full moon in Virgo sextiles your sign, so it's going to bring opportunities for you, and it's going to come through your 11th house. Straight off, your friends could be bringing you some unique opportunities here. If there's something you want to end in your life, let's just say you've not been taking care of your health. That's very Virgo oriented. You've not been taking care of your health, and here you have these friends who say, I can help you out. I've got a degree in, whatever, exercise science, and I can help you get this all sorted out. It could also be the day-to-day job. Maybe you're faltering in your day-to-day job and you just don't know what you can do to improve it. Look to your friends to actually help. Now, it's also groups too. So I'm thinking, groups like Toastmasters. I've done Toastmasters a number of times, and wow, it can, in a very supportive environment, help you learn how to speak properly and present ideas, right? So it's something to think about for those Scorpios that do need some support or development. This is an easy way, this group that I've just mentioned, the Toastmasters, but there's lots of other groups too you could go to. It's just what I'm saying is that groups and friends are going to be very supportive to give you opportunities, probably to do with your health and or your day-to-day job. If you don't work, it's your day-to-day activities. So for those folks that aren't working, friends could come in and make, your day-to-day life that you do quite enjoyable. Now, the 11th house is also hopes, dreams, and wishes. So again, friends could help you literally manifest a hope, dream, or wish, especially as it's associated with 3 things: health, your day-to-day job, and service of any sort, or getting or collecting important information. Now, when we look at that new moon in Aries, that's in your 6th house. So interesting. This is what Virgo in the natural zodiac rules. Virgo rules the 6th house. So here's another emphasis on health. So this is towards the end of March. And so this is saying some new beginning with regards to your health. New beginning in the things you do day to day. If you work, it's maybe a new job. So those Scorpios who are looking for a new job, aim for getting everything started, or if you can pick your start date in that, this would be an excellent time to do it. That would be, I'll just double check, I think it's the 29th. Yeah, it's the 29th of March. Excellent time to start a new job, especially if this new job requires you to be a leader or for you to be kind of on your own individual making decisions. That's an excellent support with regards to that new moon eclipse in Aries. Yeah. Now, you are going to have both Venus and Mercury go direct in April in a fellow water sign, and that would be Pisces. So that's a trine. So there may be some, as a result of some discussions in March, and maybe this is to do with a new job, April is going to see some kind of very favorable energy come your way, my dear, as they go forward. Now, Mercury and Venus go direct, pretty close within a week of each other at 24 and 26 degrees of Pisces. So if you do have something, Scorpio, around that, either in your sign, Scorpio, where it'll form a beautiful trine, or if you do indeed have something around those degrees, expect things, especially discussions about money, to go forward favorably for you. You're going to have to wait till April, but be persistent. Take care, Scorpio. So Sagittarius, that full moon in Virgo squares your sign, and it affects your 10th house. And remember, there's going to be a companion eclipse, a new moon eclipse, that'll also square your sign in September. So what this says to me is there's going to be a big illumination with regards to two things, or it could be both. Your health, your day-to-day job. If you don't do work, it's what do you do day to day? So there's going to be a big spotlight shone on that towards the beginnings of March. And I would say that this whole 10th house is usually your career we're talking about, but it can be your reputation, it can be your social standing. Let's just say you're trying to change your career and something is standing in your way and you don't like it. This says to me, you got to think outside the box, Sagittarius. Just think outside the box. Because this Virgo eclipse represents important facts and information, I would say make sure you line up all the important facts and information. Make sure you understand, say, what you need to do in this career, and line up all that important information, because it will be something that will make this square less challenging for you. And again, think outside the box. This can also bring up some health issue. So there may be some health issue that comes up that prevents you from doing something in your career, for instance, right? And you just have to get that resolved. For sure, once September comes by with that new moon, which is a companion eclipse to this full moon in March, there is going to be a new beginning with regards to your career again. But this time it's a new beginning. It's not a big spotlight shone on your career or a culmination of some sort in your career. This is you in a new beginning in September. So look forward, Sagittarius, to September and a whole new beginning regarding your career. Just make sure you clear up any facts or important information. I'm just thinking resume-wise, make sure you maybe even take your resume to a professional and make sure you really polish that up well so that whatever new start is due to happen in your career is met with ease. Now, the new moon in Aries is in a fellow fire sign, so that means it favorably trines you. And it affects your 5th house. So I'm wondering if you're going to be, towards the end of March, awarded some beautiful creative project to work on. This can also be a new start to your love life as well. And it might be sort of Aries related, where it's a quick start, right? Aries is ruled by Mars and it likes to start right away. Let's take action here. So it could just kind of appear during this new moon in Aries. The other thing is that this is children. So if you do have children, there may be something very favorable that reflects as a new start for one or more of your children. Others, Sagittarians, hey, this could be somebody getting pregnant. And because it's an eclipse, it could also be someone giving birth as well. But it favors somebody getting pregnant here, especially with the association of Mars and Aries, which is like putting the seed in the ground, right? Very favorable. So if you are wanting to get pregnant, I guess you could say the time period around that new moon, which is towards the end of March, could be very favorable for some Sagittarians. Take care, Sagittarius. So Capricorn. Wow, that full moon is fabulous for you because it trines your sign and it affects your 9th house. But hey, you got a double thing here because in September, you have another eclipse that's going to trine your sign and affect your ninth house. So I would say that whatever comes to light at this time, and it could be, say, important information or facts that come up at this time, pay attention to them, especially if it's something to do with, say, a legal matter or publishing something of some sort, or if you wanted to start an advanced degree, or even if you wanted to travel, and dealing with people that are foreign. All that encompasses the ninth house. The other thing the ninth house covers too is visas and green cards. So if you are a Capricorn waiting for one, this could bring the end of the wait towards the first half of March. Or it could be the time that you get all your important facts and information and documents together, right? The first half of March, you submit it. And then in September, that new start happens when you got that visa, right? And that's going to be the latter half of September. I did do a whole video on this, Capricorn. Links are below if you want to look at the total span of all the eclipses in more detail. Now, that new moon in Aries, well, that squares your sign and it affects your fourth house. Fourth house is your family, in particular your mother. It's your physical home. It's your family home. Now, it says a new start, but there's some kind of challenge or maybe even a delay here. This could pan out as, I'm thinking, you want to buy your own place, or you want to sell your place, or you want to rent a specific place. And you've already identified it, but there's a challenge around it. You've got to check off a box, or it's not available right now. It's interesting because I've actually had this happen to me many years ago. I used to go jogging or running past these set of condos. And every time I went by them, I said, and I was renting at that time, I said, I want to buy one of those places. And I was working with a real estate agent, and everything she was showing me I didn't like. And she says, well, where do you want to live? And I said, well, that's where I want to live. And I said, but there's nothing there. And she said, no worries. We're going to put in a letter to all those individual condos and see if anybody wants to sell. Well, guess what? Somebody wanted to sell, and I bought the place. So it could be something like that comes up too, okay, for those that want to buy. And I guess the same as if you want to sell. That could be up for you too. The other thing that we're looking at here is there could be some problems with, the family or a family member. And you are kind of designated to be the person to lead the discussions or to try to resolve the issues, right? That's the Aries part of it. Or something like your mother either wants to move and she's looking to you to help her out, or maybe she's moving in with you, or a family member is moving in with you. And in order to have this new start, you realize that you've got to do a lot of adjustments in your present home to make it a win-win situation for everybody. And vice versa. Maybe you're having to deal with your family more, maybe even move in with somebody. And you're realizing that, there might be some challenges here to this new start. Just think outside the box, Capricorn, and everything is going to be fine, right? That's the best way to look at something like this. Well, you've got Pluto out of your sign now. Yahoo! So I'd love to hear from some Capricorns now that Pluto's completely never going back into your sign in this lifetime. All right. Take care, Capricorn. So Aquarius. So that full moon in Virgo falls in your 8th house. So the 8th house is mainly referred to as a money house, but it's more along shared resources, investments, 401ks, any pension that you might have, that type of thing. So there may be some Aquarians that have decided they're going to retire. This would be a great full moon to make that decision. And then at the companion new moon in Virgo in September would be a time to actually retire, right? The other thing that the 8th house represents is two things. It's your inner psychological self and your sex life. So there may be some big spotlight for whatever reason shone on both these areas. Now, Virgo tends to really refer to our health. It's service, it's our day-to-day job or what we do day-to-day. But I'm thinking here this could be mental health. So for those Aquarians that are entertaining the idea of maybe going in for some psychological therapy, this might be a good time to do it. It doesn't matter that it's a full moon, right? Because it could reflect positive for you towards the latter part of September when you have a new moon in this same area where you have new starts, right? But certainly for those folks that are wanting to retire, this is a good thing with this eclipse where you can make the decision and start lining everything up so that in September you can just pull the plug, right? And move forward with the retirement. But if you're wanting to invest, I would say this is also a time to look carefully at what new starts could you have later on in the year that you can make in March that may produce some pretty big dividends for you. Just get the facts and information right. That whole Virgo influence says, make sure you have the salient and important facts before you make a decision, right? That's the only sort of caution that I have for you, Aquarius. Now, that new moon in Aries sextiles your sign, Aquarius, and involves the third house. Hey, these are new starts with regards to what? Well, these could be new starts in a new writing project. Anything to do with communications could be up for you too. New starts there. Maybe you're learning how to, you're taking some courses in terms of presenting in front of large groups. And this new moon says, here's your first job, go for it. Because it's Aries, it really talks to you being an individual as well as you being a leader. So the opportunities in these areas will come through you expressing your individual self and or being a leader. It can also say that there could be some activation here with regards to some short distance travel, perhaps to do with your job, where you have to, travel around the city or maybe in the state. Those might be brought up for you. But other nice things that can be brought up is where you have lots of new interactions with your siblings and your neighbors from a positive standpoint. In fact, they may bring opportunities in for you. But communications at the fore here, you communicating for whatever reason is going to be important in terms of new starts, right? That third house. Also, sales and commerce are also under the third house as well. So there could be some new initiative that you lead in that area as well that's very positive for you. And again, this is sextiles, so these are opportunities, take them or leave them type thing. All right, you've got Pluto in your sign. And so Pluto in your sign is just asking you to transform. It's saying, I want to transform your life for you. Let go what is going out of your life, Aquarius. Don't cling is my only kind of little bit of advice for you. And that would be positive. You, along with Leo, will be starting a whole new set of eclipses in 2026, if you can believe it. So you're going to have eclipses in your sign as well as Leo, your opposite sign. So stay tuned for that. Take care, Aquarius. So Pisces, that full moon in Virgo is in your opposite sign and your 7th house. So this is putting a big focus on your partners. Your partners, your partnerships, whether they're business partnerships, marriage partnerships, clients, all three can be affected, or one of the three can be affected as well. But there's some big illumination here for you. And I'm going to say that it's probably going to be an ending of some sort. It's a full moon eclipse. Typically, we talk about full moons being endings or culminations of some sort. And I think for most Pisces, this is going to be a wrap-up of some sort. It's going to be a wrap-up with regards to maybe you collecting a lot of important information and facts, or maybe these important information or facts are going to be given to you to bring something to a culmination for you. But it's going to really be generated or focused on from a partnership standpoint. So it's like you're sitting here, Pisces, and that eclipse is happening over there with either your business partnership, your clients, or your marriage partnerships, or any other. Any other represents somebody who usually signs a contract. So that involves a lot of other people. So it means that there's going to be some wrap up and culmination with regards to dealing with other people at, the first half of March. But it's going to be followed up, my dear, by a new start in the latter half of September when you have another eclipse happening in the same part of your chart but it's a new moon, so it's a new start. So know there's a new start in September as a result of something ending in March. When we look at that new moon eclipse in Aries, well, that's in your second house. So this is, hey, new opportunities to earn money, getting a new job. There's new value of yourself. Maybe there's new value of you being a leader. I mean, that's very Aries-like. A leader, a person who likes to forge new paths, pioneer new things, or new ways of doing things. I think for most Pisces, that's going to be a new opportunity to make money and be valued, right? That's the other thing about that second house is values. I mean, on a more superficial level, it could be a time, Pisces, where you actually decide to purchase some, maybe even some like last minute without thinking too much possessions. You know, Aries can be very impulsive, so there may be some impulsivity around buying some possessions that you want, or even around that income that you may have coming in from a new job that comes your way, right? Now, Pisces, you are going to have both Saturn and Neptune still in your sign 2025, on and off, as both these planets dip into Aries and then dip back into Pisces. But certainly by next year-ish, both those planets are going to be out of your sign and into Aries. So, you know, if there's been any confusion around, or even sort of difficulties expressing, you know, who you are or leading something, those are all going to be in the past, certainly by next year, 2026. You've got the North Node in your sign, Pisces. And so this is pulsating destiny. You know, that's the word. Destiny is in front of you. That North Node likes to say, hey, we want to help you on your destiny path. And that's basically what that North Node in your sign wants to do. I did do a video on this. If you've seen it already, don't worry about it, but I put the link below here. If you do want to look at North Nodes in Pisces, especially if you are a Pisces and have your North Nodes there too. Now, the other thing that's going to be happening for you is regarding the Mercury and Venus going direct in April. I will talk about this as well in my April video, but I just wanted to give you a heads up, Pisces, that both Mercury and Venus will go direct in April at 26 and 24 degrees of Pisces, respectively. So if you by chance have something around those degrees, then I would say Mercury and Venus retrograde is going to be important for you. And maybe that's part of this income may be coming in for you, this new job. You're going to be negotiating hard to get the money that you want, to have value given via money for maybe that new job that you're going to take, or have come in your sights towards the end of March. But look to April for things to be sorted out in that area, if that is something that is going on for you and you have the degree points. If you don't have these degree points, either the eclipses or what I just mentioned, the Mercury and Venus going direct in Pisces, a lot of these things go by in either a very mild way or they just don't affect you at all. Yeah. All right, Pisces, I wish you the best. And congratulations if you are going to be getting that new source of income through a new job. Take care, Pisces. All right, everybody. That just about wraps up what I have to say about March. Wow, just a packed month. I'm just going to remind you again that I did do a whole video on all 4 eclipses in March and September and all many details about what I think of them. The video is below. I will still cover, at least to some extent, in my monthly videos, the eclipses as well. So you don't have to go there. I will still cover it in my monthlies. But if you want a lot more details, I'd go to the actual video on it. I wish everybody the best of luck in March. It's going to be lots of twists and turns is all I got to say. And if you do want your chart done, you know, I love doing it. All my services are below. I think most people can afford something in there. I'd be delighted to hear from you. If you've got any comments, especially if you've got comments to say, oh yeah, last time I had this, or say you comment as you have one of these eclipses in March and you say, oh wow, I just want to let you know what happened to me. I think all my viewers like, and my actual listeners like to hear and read that type of thing as well. So I encourage you to comment. All right, everybody, sending you lots of love. Take care of yourself, and bye for now.